Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car. You know, roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have,
you'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, what's right?
Yeah.
I want a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West.
Internet.
You know, is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
All right. Welcome to Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad?
Not much, Andrew. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Pull it back just a little bit for me.
Gotcha. Sorry,
We're
new software here, and I got to adjust to the microphone.
Yeah, we're trying out something a little different, maybe to improve recording quality. So, welcome to the experiment, because that's how we do it.
Yeah. What was it? What's his name? The broadcaster. F it. We'll do it live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got. Let's see. We had Thanksgiving last week.
We did. We have
did
not
a
been
Monday
on here
episode.
since Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, we did a Monday episode to throw everybody off.
Right. We did just to do like one episode over the 2 weeks.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, we can follow up. We get a little follow up to the Recaro story of going bankrupt, and then I guess we get into some project car updates because you were trying to get your truck finished before last weekend. So
The world is conspiring against me and getting that truck done, but we'll get into that later.
okay.
Tell me about
So we
Recaro first.
Yeah, we talked about how Recaro went out of business, but apparently it goes out of business all the time. Or was that BBS? Or one of them was like, we go out of business all the time. No big deal.
This is fine.
Apparently, so Recaro, it's the German division, which is making OEM seats, filed for bankruptcy, and then it has been purchased by the Proma Group, which is some Italian. So it's an Italian automotive component manufacturer, and they're based out of Turin. So they're going to move operations to Turin, Italy. Interesting.
So they'll be expensive still, but they will no longer be high quality German built.
Yeah, but maybe they'll be more stylish Italian.
Possibly.
It sounds like they're just making OEM seats. But it does say they're going to start making aftermarket seats in 2025.
We talked about this a little
that's
off air. It sounds like the aftermarket seat manufacturer Recaro and the OEM seat manufacturer Recaro are two different companies.
Yeah, I think so.
So it'd be weird
So-
if their company now also makes aftermarket seats.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but
Well, I know a lot of companies do that, like Enki. You know, they make aftermarket wheels. You know them from making aftermarket wheels. But if you look at the maker's mark on the back of a Honda wheel for the past 100 years, it's got an Enki logo on it. So,
yeah, a lot of Mitsubishi wheels
yeah.
or Yankees.
Yeah, I just said Honda because that's the first thing that came to mind. But looking at this Proma Group's website, they do a lot of seat bases already.
Yeah, it was saying here, seat structures, body assemblies, and suspension beams. So I guess they already know what they're doing.
Hopefully. They make swivel seats, so I should get some Recaro swivels for something.
I need to figure out the seats in the Volvo because I have the factory seats I found, but they don't have any of the base parts. And somebody on Facebook showed me a picture of what the underside looks like. And I'm missing I've got those ugly fake Recaros that came in that car are mounted to the original U-frames. That's the best way to describe them. That's original to the car, but there's like a whole middle piece of structure that is like just missing. That
So
the
basically,
seats I bought used didn't come with.
what you have bolts to the floor, and then there's another part that attaches to the seat that bolts to the part that bolts to the floor, and that's what you're missing.
Yeah, but I happened to go in the shed this afternoon because I was grabbing my skis out. It's ski season, and I was looking at the seat base in there, but I don't see how it attaches to this piece. Like it doesn't have like any threaded holes in it or anything. So it's weird. I got to really look into that because I do not want those seats.
No, they're pretty
They
terrible.
are awful.
They're also not even comfortable.
No, they're not. They're just super hard and a really awkward shape where I
remind
don't
me of,
really
like-
particularly like those high back bucket seats like that
They remind me of like Daytona USA.
because they like push your shoulders in.
Yeah,
It feels like you're like scrunching forward. It's not comfortable.
they're not good.
Like a good racing seat usually doesn't do that. So
Yeah, they don't feel like a car seat. They feel like an office chair. They're not good.
yeah, which is so funny that I've talked about before that the de facto gaming office seat is a racing style seat, which is so weird.
That's what those feel like.
There's
they feel
like
like they feel like somebody bought a cheap video game chair and bolted them into the car.
Yeah, I don't understand why video game chairs have harness holes, but that's the style that apparently took off the last.
I don't
10 or
understand
15
why
years
most
here.
people put seats with harness holes in their cars, but that's also a moot point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, should you get into project car updates then?
I mean, that's where you took us without even thinking about it. So,
Yeah. Why don't you tell us what how far you didn't get with this truck? I guess.
all right. So the universe, as I said, is conspiring against the truck being finished. Partially the universe, partially me. It's probably like an 80-20 split, me and the universe, but that's unimportant. I think we've talked in the past about how you like to purchase everything needed to put the car together before you start the job.
Yes.
And I've never really thought too much about it, but the more I'm working on this truck, the more I think that's the way to go. Because it seems like every time I'm turning around, there's something I don't have. And then it takes another day or two because, obviously I'm working on it after hours, like after work. So it's nighttime. So anything I need, if I order it that night, doesn't usually come next day. It's usually 2 days to get it. And that ties everything up. And then I'll get it and it'll be wrong. Or it's just been... I should have just collected a bunch of stuff ahead of time to do the job. But I did not. So the good news is, I think I have everything now. The truck is mostly back together. The only thing not put together is the filler neck. Like the tank's in the truck. All the new lines are in the truck. The truck runs off of an auxiliary tank, so I don't see a reason why I wouldn't run now off of this tank with fuel in it if I put it back together. I did put it back together. I put fuel in it. It should run. But the filler neck is driving me nuts. So obviously it was Thanksgiving last week. And I'm sure you remember I said in the last episode that we had a rather large Thanksgiving, which included like just shy of 40 people at our dinner. So there was just a lot of prep and a lot of work and a lot of people coming from out of town and just a lot of time that was not able to dedicate to putting the truck together. So that's part of the universe conspiring against me, just being timing. I would have had it back together 100% yesterday, I think. But as I was about to go outside to work on the car, a helicopter flew overhead. And while that normally wouldn't give me pause, this is the first time in my life I've ever had a helicopter circle overhead and a person on a megaphone talk out the microphone and say, stay in your house, lock your doors, don't answer the door. And I was like, so I probably shouldn't lay in the driveway under the truck if the police are literally flying around in a helicopter telling me to stay in my house and lock my doors. I'm not one to like be too afraid of things, but at the same time, other than heights, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, it takes a pretty serious crime, I would think, or a pretty dangerous person for the police to warn whole neighborhoods that they should stay inside and lock their doors. So I didn't go outside and work on the car until after all of the helicopters had left the area. I figured once the helicopters were gone, I was probably in a safe space. So I still haven't quite figured out what was going down yet, but obviously a bad person was missing and they were looking for him in our neighborhood. So that's a first. That's a first. So bad people didn't allow me to work on my car too much yesterday. And also, I didn't have a filler neck for it. So I went to O'Reilly's and I purchased I don't want to say it's universal. I'm sure it's for something. But the problem is that most filler necks on the shelf at part stores are like inch to inch and a half inside diameter on the rubber hose. And I need 2 inches for this truck. So everything was too small. I found one, I think the part number is for like mid 90s Ford F-250. And it's a 2-inch filler neck. But it has some weird bends to it that don't quite match the bends that I needed to have. But I was like, you know what? I could probably make this work. And it's rubber. It's flexible enough. It should work. So the other thing that, we all know is that you measure twice and cut once, right?
Yes.
So I was doing that. And the problem is you couldn't just put the part on the truck and measure where it needed to go because you had to put part of it on the tank and then like bend it around and then bend it around another area. And then as you're bending it, it would pop off the tank. So you had to clamp it on the tank. It was just a whole thing. So every time you wanted to measure it, you had to reset the whole thing up. And I honestly think I was just getting tired because I didn't start working on this project until after the helicopters left. And it was pretty late in the day. I think it was probably like 8:45. I was out there just yelling at clouds, being angry. And I measured twice. I cut once, and it was too long. So I took it all off again, and I measured it again, and I cut it again. So now I've measured twice and cut twice, and that was too short. And it felt like it was like 4 or 5 inches too long, and I cut 2 inches off of it, and then it was like an inch too short. So I don't know what the hell I did. But it was also an oddly shaped hose. So there were like these weird bends in it that were kind of throwing me for a loop. And I think I just set myself up for failure. What I should have done a while ago is just looked on the internet and seen if somebody does like a 2-inch fuel hose. Because you can get 2-inch radiator hose, but radiator hose is not rated for fuel. So it would eventually just erode from the inside out and I'd be back at square one again, right? So I wanted to use a fuel rated hose. But according to the internet, 2-inch hose is very popular in the inboard boat world, like inboard motorboat. The filler that goes on the hull usually has a 2-inch fitting on the bottom of it. So you can buy lengths of 2-inch fuel hose from like West Marine.
Okay. I'm looking at the Spectra Premium store on Amazon, and they got all sorts of filler neck hoses.
Spectra
Different
Premium?
shapes. Yeah.
Well, I didn't come across that. But nonetheless, what I did do is I started my day out today at West Marine because there's one down the street from the house, which I did not know was a national chain.
Oddly.
Oddly what?
Well, it's West Marine.
Yeah,
West.
but there are tons of them in Massachusetts. So I assumed it was an East Coast store. I didn't know why it was called West Marine. I never didn't put that connection together.
Yeah, Marine store in the middle of Phoenix. Makes sense.
There are a lot of boats here. We're waiting for the floods. I was reading a stat the other day. There's something like there's more boats per. there's more boats per person in Arizona than like most coastal states. And we have lakes, and we honestly, Andrew, Arizona has real boat energy. So
Yeah.
take that as you will, but we do. So you don't need to have water to be a boat person. You just need to have the right attitude. So
You said boats in your yards?
there's so many boats around here. It's wild. I think the thing is that we have a bunch of lakes. So people get this idea that, hey, if I get a boat, I'll go to the lake often. And then they realize what a pain it is. And then they just wind up having boats in their yards. So yeah, there are a lot of, I can, without even thinking too hard, I can picture 4 boats on my block. So there are plenty of boats around. Anyway, the West Marine, the person in the store had no idea what I was talking about and said, oh, it sounds like it's in aisle 4. And I was like, all right, well, there's only 6 aisles here. So if it's not, I'll find it wherever it's supposed to be. It was not in aisle 4. The fuel hose was in aisle 6. So if you're ever shopping at the Bell Road, Phoenix, West Marine, that's where you got to go. But they only had, even there, up to 1.5 inches. So another place that was kind of out of the way, but has saved my butt before, and we've chatted about it before, that there's only 2 warehouses in the country, one's in like Indiana and one's here, is Speedway Motors.
Yep.
And Speedway Motors, again, had 2-inch fuel hose in stock. So it's not around the corner. It's clear across town, solid, probably 40-minute drive. But I made the trek down there and got some 2-inch fuel hose today. So my work today took me to within like 15 minutes of it. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'll be around the corner. I'll just stop in there and grab it. So I did. And I have this nice 2-inch fuel hose from Gates. And it's flexible is the wrong word, but it's flexible. You can bend it up to almost 90 degrees without it kinking. So I bought 2 feet of it. It was like $38. Coupled with the $38 I already spent on the wrong hose already, now up to $80, but that's okay. It is what it is. Live and learn, right? But yeah, so now I have fuel hose that should work, and that should be the final link in the build that is the Mighty Max Dodge Ram 50 pickup. As far as the basics of getting it running, obviously we'll still need a bunch of stuff after that. But that's where we're at, and it just feels like it's been one stupid little thing after another. So like I ordered 5/16. No, that's a dumb number. 3/8 fuel hose, and didn't realize that I ordered 3/8 outside diameter, not inside diameter. So it was like, oh, you dummy.
Why would it be listed as outside?
I don't know. I genuinely do not know, but it was, which is probably why I didn't notice. Just ordering 3/8 fuel hose. Like, why? Who cares about the outside diameter?
Yeah, it should always be the inside.
It should be, yes, but nonetheless,
it's like nuts and bolts is always the thread size.
Yes,
it's not the head of the bolt.
Right.
A 10 millimeter bolt is going to have a 6 mil shaft. Like it's.
Yep.
But if you're looking for a bolt to go in. No, I should say that wrong. I said that wrong. A 6 millimeter bolt is going to have a 10 millimeter head. Mm-hmm. But I'm not, if I looked up a 10 millimeter bolt, I'm going to get a fat bolt. Like it's just,
with like a 14 mil on the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. 12 or 14.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. So it was just stupid things like that I'm just, and like I said, then family being here, I'm not complaining about that. That's fine. It's just part of life, right? Life gets in the way of building cars sometimes. So it's at a point where it's this has got to be it. Like there's nothing left in the fuel system. Everything's been replaced. All the lines are done. The tank's back up in the truck. I mean, I even redid all of the evap lines. I did every line in the truck. So anything that was rubber has been replaced. So there shouldn't be any issues with anything. And I blew the hard lines out. So they should be able to, flow plenty of fuel through them. So let's hope. So,
yeah, you get new filters in there, and
yep. The only one I didn't replace was there's like a charcoal filter on the return line on the evap line. I was like, I don't care. That's fine. Don't worry about that later. If it's a problem, we'll just take it out and tee it off. But nonetheless, so yeah, that's where that truck is at. I know every week I say the same thing, but next week it should be on the road with more progress. So I don't see why not. The other issue that I've run into is, as we talked about before, the Camaro is here now.
Yeah.
So that's also been distracting.
Oh, okay.
So while family was here, Naomi thought it would be a good idea if I took our nephews, who are from out of town, to the Pavilion's car show. So also, Naomi's daughter Courtney's boyfriend was in town. So we took Tristan and Lance and her boyfriend Roberto to Pabs. And she thought it'd be a good idea if I used the Camaro. And I was like, well, I still haven't put tires on it yet, so I don't love this idea. But as long as we go like surface roads and stay off the interstates, we'll do that this one time before I put tires on it. So I pulled the car out, and I had not finished the cleaning, so I was like, I may as well clean the whole thing like thoroughly inside and out. I only washed the outside. So I did a full cleaning in detail on the car. And then I went under the hood and I was like, well, let me check this carburetor issue and make sure there's no leaks because I don't want to burn the car to the ground 2 weeks of being here. So I did that and I'm under the hood. And as I'm playing with the carburetor, I noticed that all of the rubber lines in that car also seem questionable. So I was like, maybe I should do all the fuel lines in this car too. So I went to, like, the line looked questionable, and when I touched it, I moved it like the smallest bit, like a millimeter, and it sprayed fuel under pressure out the front of the line under the filter, and I was like, that's cracked. That's not good. So I also have replaced the fuel lines from the firewall forward in the Camaro this week. So there's that. So all of the underhood fuel lines are new. Because it was so brittle that as I was trying to undo the clamp that's on the hose clamp that's below the filter. So basically how it works is it's got a mechanical pump that's run off the crank. And there's a 90-degree bend that comes out of the pump. Goes the hard line that goes into a little rubber line that goes into an inline filter that goes into the rubber line that goes into the carburetor. And as I was taking that clamp off, the line was so brittle that it literally snapped off the thing. Like the one below the filter just snapped in half. I was like, that's
oh boy,
that's not a good line. So I did that. Everything else was good. The temporary fix in the carburetor is holding. I cleaned it up, made sure that was going to be good. There's a little seepage around. There's like the base of the carburetor and the top of the carburetor. It's like two pieces. There's a little bit of seepage, but I wouldn't call it a leak. It's just like it gets that just enough fume for the dirt to stick to it. So I do need to put a carburetor in that car. So we'll get there. But the fuel line at least was not leaking anywhere. We took the car to the car show successfully. No problems at all. It's back, and it's now officially living in the garage out back. So
cool.
Yep, that was the distraction. The distraction from the truck was that. So I spent pretty much an entire day doing that on Saturday after I did not get the truck done in time to go to the 4till4 Adventure Machines meet that morning. I did go there. I took Roberto there that morning. We just took the Cressida over there. Which, fun fact, as I drove it back, the left rear brake assembly fell apart. So,
didn't it lock up on the way to like Williams or something?
It did. That was the right rear, and I fixed it emergency style, and then was like, I'll fix the left when I get a chance, and then just kind of forgot about it because it worked. Yeah, it's now caught up. So I should have done it. I couldn't do it at the same time because it was like I only had time to like slam it together at that time to get the other side done. I should have done it then. I have all the parts. They're on the shelf. I just need to do it. So no big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those like, here we go. Time to do things. So, oh, and Jordan cut the exhaust off the Corolla.
Okay.
So I've never liked the tips on the back of the Corolla. It has those like
Yeah.
2-3 inch slash cut like tips.
Yeah, not quite Bozazuka, but a little ridiculous.
They call them blast pipes. That's the official name for it. If you Google blast pipe, you can buy a set.
Okay.
Yeah. That's not my style. It is Jordan's style.
Blast pipe.
And he wanted them for his Nissan Sima. So I was like, you know what? You can just come cut them off the car. It's totally fine because I don't want them anyway. I don't want them anyway. So he cut it back to about where the stock pipe was, and I was under the assumption that the exhaust was supposed to come out the other side of the car, just because of the way that they made the pipes go. But it looks like they put a bunch of custom piping under there just to make them come out at that funny angle, and that's why the car has no spare. So the exhaust is on the correct side of the car. It just needs to run straight back instead of running at all kinds of angles to make them come out at an angle. So,
oh, okay.
And then I can put a spare back in the car. All a moot point because the car doesn't work. But hey,
yeah,
one step at a time. One step at a time. But no, unfortunately, the truck did not make it to 4till4. Adventure-driven design Josh, who I threw the challenge down to get his truck done in time for the show, and he said not a chance. His truck did make it to the show because he and he wasn't just putting a gas tank in. He literally did a whole custom motor swap transfer case transmission. So yeah, he's faster than I for sure. But I got to take a little rip in his truck. It definitely whetted my appetite to finish mine. Mine will not be nearly as quick because it's got a big old turbo on a diesel, and it's got a different transmission, different gearing, and it's lifted on I think 33s, and it has some very cool 80s Recaros in it. Speaking of Recaros, very cool truck. But I'll be happy to have a running one. I don't need it to be as rowdy as his yet, but we may or may not have hatched some potential future plans during that drive, so we'll see. Nonetheless, it's almost there. Camaro's good enough for now. Crescent is broken. Corolla has no exhaust, but no engine, so it's fine. Everything else is good. How about you, Andrew?
Well, I think I talked briefly. I picked up the head from the machine shop. I didn't actually open it yet. I opened it the other day just to look at it. It came out really nice. The repair is interesting. You can see where it was repaired, and obviously they couldn't go to the edge of the very edge of the crack because it's like a bridge between the two coolant ports, and if you drilled it, you would just lose that material. But it's not really like, there's people on the owners group that were just like, you can just run it with that crack. So I don't think it's that big a deal.
Right.
I mean, they wouldn't do it if they don't want the thing to come back. So
right. Well, plus where the edges are, it's going to be covered by a gasket anyway.
Yeah, it'll be sealed there. And then now that the head is perfectly flat, it's not going to nothing's going to get through there once it's torqued down.
Yep.
So,
and the amount of use that car is going to see, it's not like it's ever going to be a problem again.
No, that was due to somebody doing like an extreme overheat and destroying it. That's what happened there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not going to happen to it. I'll be lucky if it makes 100 horsepower at the wheels. So it's not like going to be super, super high compression or something.
If it makes 100 horsepower at the wheels, I'd be shocked.
I watched a dyno vid of one with similar setup. The guy made 90 at the wheels. So
okay.
Yeah. It's that engine factory was 120-ish. So at the crank.
At the crank, right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool they even painted it for me. I don't have to paint it. It's got new valve springs. They were like, oh, they're wear items. You should just replace them. I'm like, okay, so it's got new valve springs.
Yeah,
new
I don't think I would ever rebuild a
guides.
head without putting new springs in it. Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, it's got brass guides, new seals, the newer style seals with a Vitron or something, whatever the name of that rubber is.
Yeah,
They're modern
yeah,
seals.
Vitron.
Hardened seats for unleaded gas. All new valves. It looks really good. It's all cleaned up.
It is quite pretty.
I put it was not cheap, but it looks like it was well done. I'm not worried about it.
And that's the kind of thing we've always talked about, right? You know, at this point in our lives, we're going to pay for it correctly. We're not going to try to cheap out. And all the lessons I learned from my Raider, I'm not going to do the same job 15 times.
It was not worth just slapping some used head on this thing. It just wasn't worth it.
It's honestly, especially for what you're into the car for, and what you're trying to do with the car. You're trying to make it, you know, a nice family cruiser. You want it to be reliable. You want it to be nice. And, you know, it's like I said, we're old enough now where we're not we're not rich folk, but we're also not on the shoestring budget we were when we were 20 years old. So we should do things correctly. So,
and
ultimately, it costs less to do it correctly in the first place. So
yeah, and if I had to get rid of the car, it's worth 2 to 3 times more than what I paid for it with this engine work and a running engine.
And that's what I mean is that the amount you're into it for, you're not upside down in the car. You know, you could spend another $6,000 on the car and you'd still be okay. So it would be fine. So it just makes sense to do it right.
I dropped off the block to them when I picked up the head. You know, of course, it was Thanksgiving week, so they weren't going to get to it. We'll see when they give me a call. They're going to do a little evaluation to it. And,
it's wintertime.
I don't think it needs much. I don't think it needs much. I mean, I'm sure they're busy because people around here in the wintertime build cars. So
right. What I'm saying is wintertime, you don't need it back tomorrow. It's not like the car is.
No, he was like, he's like, when do you want it back? I was like, well, I don't need it like in a week, but you know, maybe like a month or so. Because I don't think it needs much work. That the block seemed like it was in good shape. Nothing, you know, the timing gears didn't look bad. The crank spun freely. The pistons were rough. Those are beat up, and the cylinder walls are rough. So, or one of them's rough. The rest are like smooth. So, and then you of course had Black Friday sales, and there was stuff for sale. The optional pistons were like 15 over or 30 over. And I wanted to get on the sale, and I was like, I'm going to gamble on this. I don't know what they're going to tell me what they want to do, but I told them it was like 15 over or 30 over. I just ordered the 30 over pistons because they're okay. I was like, I bet if I order the 15s, it'll probably need 30. If I order the 30, they'll only want to do 15, but it doesn't matter. I think, you know, there's overboard kits for this engine to go to a 2.5 liter. So
yeah, 30 over is nothing.
It's nothing. And it's probably better to clean it up because one of them was kind of gouged up where it looks like the water got in there, the coolant, and kind of scuffed it up. So,
I'll just tell them you have some 30 over pistons. You'd like to use them if possible. And
yeah, when they call me back, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
But those were like, you know, $50 off for Black Friday. So
I never think to look.
They're not like race pistons or anything.
I never think to look at like car parts for Black Friday. I'm always like stuck on like stupid things you can buy on Amazon. I never think of anything good.
I've gotten like I got the sway bar for the WRX a few years ago. That was on sale. I do car parts. I got the tune for the Volkswagen. That was a Black Friday sale. Yeah, it's worth it to look up car parts. At the same time, there's a company. It's like VP Auto Parts in North Carolina. Does a lot of Volkswagen stuff. Volvo stuff. Yeah, all the V's. I got a brand new cam because the cam that was in there looks scuffed up, kind of pitted. So got a new C cam, the original cam that goes in there, new lifters, and I got the pistons from them. and cam bearings, because they will check that at the machine shop, make sure that he's like, oh yeah, send me cam bearings and send me the cam, because I will double check it that they actually fit, because we've had that happen before where we think it's the standard size and then the person goes to fit it and it doesn't fit, and then they can bring the block back. So he's like, let me do that here, we'll just make sure it would fit. I was like, all right, that's a good plan.
Yeah, it sounds like a good safety plan.
Yeah, I didn't order a timing gear set yet. It's interesting reading the part supplier recommendation. It's like, you can they have steel timing gear setups, but they're like, oh, the fiber gears are fine if you're not doing a turbocharger supercharger. I'm like, all right, well then I'll probably just do that because it's less money, and it's not a race car. But I also got a header for it too, which is funny. Cool. Yeah, when you order one looking up for a 140, it's like a 4-1, and then you order one for just a B20, and it says Amazon, but it's based off the Volvo R design one from back in the day, so it's a 4-2-1, and it just has a little bit of a sweep to it. And I was looking at it, I'm like, this will definitely fit. I don't know why. Like, I think maybe the exhaust, like if you're trying to mate to the stock exhaust, it's a different style after it. Okay. But the exhaust is already all custom. So I'm like, and I might replace it anyways. I'll just build the exhaust off the header to make it fit.
Yeah, you might as well.
But it will definitely, there's enough room in there. I haven't fit it, but I'm like, just looking at it, I'm like 90% confident that it'll just fit. So I'm not too worried about it, but the flow is better. It's got like a better swoop to it, and it like goes out towards the back. So, I don't know. It's worth it, I guess. It was cheap. The header was like $250. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Plus, I have to do that anyways because the original manifold, we talked about it, the intake and the exhaust manifold are together. So they're just one cast iron piece.
So you have two pieces now, though.
Yeah, I bought an earlier aluminum intake manifold that'll work with the dual carbs, and I'll just put the adapter plates on, and then this header will work with it.
Perfect.
So, yeah, because they're like the other on the owners group. I think I talked about the people are saying that that manifold's kind of the crummiest one you can get because it's just cast iron and it's made to transfer heat from the exhaust to the intake for cold weather
stuff, yeah,
and emissions,
which you don't need,
and you don't need that. So yeah, I'm getting excited. I don't think this car needs much, which is cool, other than the whole engine being built. But I've done more apart cars, so to me, I'm like, all right, I just have to put this engine together. There's some pieces I have to find, like the throttle linkages and stuff, and a throttle pedal. But for the most part, we should be able to get it running and driving, and then I can do the rest after it's running.
Yeah, you'll have to make the throttle cable stuff, but that's...
Well, I can run original linkages, and you can make them work with the Kunis. I don't know why somebody threw them away. They didn't want to try it, but you can do it, and that's what I'm going to do.
Excellent.
I just have to find used ones because that will be a lot better than trying to sync up two cables.
Yeah, I still have to figure out the throttle cable situation on the truck too. I kind of forgot about that. I'll get there. Yeah, you'll have to remind me next year to look for good deals for car parts on Black Friday, because I did not. In fact, I didn't even participate in any Black Friday shopping today until accidentally on Sunday.
Yeah,
Black Friday's not Black Friday.
I mean, it goes
anymore.
like
yeah.
No, it's like a week.
No, we happened to go to the shoe store, and Vans was doing buy one get one free on everything in the store. So I bought 2 new pairs of work shoes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's a really good deal, yeah. especially with the
Yeah.
new versions of the vans they have that are actually designed for old people.
Yeah, they know their target demo is getting older.
Absolutely. They look like the old vans, but they have a softer sole inside now. They have more support.
It's got Sketcher guts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But nobody has to know. It just looks like I'm wearing a pair of Vans. They're super comfy.
They slip-ins.
No, I
The
still,
Vans
I still
slip-ins?
have to tie them. I haven't gone that far yet. I will fully admit to owning a pair of Skechers slip-ons, but I don't leave the yard with them. Those are strictly around the house shoes, and that is all. So, but yeah, there was no Black Friday shopping this year until accidentally on Sunday. So
I also picked up. I've been wanting the Element Enduro with the IFS in it, the RC truck.
yeah, super cool.
And that was like $50 off.
It's funny. I was looking at Black Friday specials on RC trucks, and
Yeah.
I on multiple occasions had one in a cart, and I just said, no, I don't need this yet. I have other ones to finish. This can wait. I need to finish my other ones first, because I need to finish my other ones first. I just got excited because Charisma, who made the 1/24th scale, well, probably closer to 1/20th scale Pajero that I have, the Tudor Pajero, they also have a 1/10th scale version of the same, but they just released the body as a like standalone part. So I was like, oh, I can get a clear body and I can get a 1/10th chassis at the right wheelbase to put it on. But then I was like, no, I don't need to, because yes, the body is only $35, but by the time I'm all done, I'll be into another whole RC truck. So I don't need to do it until I finish these ones. So I managed to not do it, but hopefully I don't regret that later when they cost a ton more before next year. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see. It was kind of funny. The thing is supposed to be RTR, which it is. But then I got it and I didn't realize there's a different version that comes with the battery and charger. This is the one that doesn't come with the battery and charger. It just comes with the controller and all the electronics, but no battery. So I had to buy a separate battery and charger, which was also expensive. So
You couldn't use your current charger?
I'd have to find a nickel metal hydride battery with a T connector.
Well, you can change the connector.
I could probably get. Yeah, I probably could.
Yeah.
But it was easier just to. It was easier just to say, all right, on the new style truck here, I'll just use a LiPo and a LiPo charger.
Okay. Yeah, so my charger does LiPo and the other style, NIM-cell.
Well, I got the old school charger for the old school Tamais. So
Yep. Well, I purchased
I'm just gonna
adapters.
keep using Tamai.
Yeah, I purchased adapters that go, so I can use the same batteries in multiple things. And I have adapters that go back and forth between Tamiya style and Dean's plugs. So
I made one back in the day that I have. But I just use at some point I must have not cut off connectors of the old batteries. Which is funny, I was searching through my emails because I was trying to figure out something else, some other RC truck that I had bought years ago from like Taro Hobbies and did not go together correctly at all, and I ended up returning it, and I can't remember what it was or what the brand was.
you had a Traxxas Rustler.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Because I was wondering, because people were talking about how bad Traxxas was, and I was like, yeah, they are really bad. And why do they have such a huge market share? And it's just really good marketing, but the kits themselves are not very good. They're usually like knockoffs of other kits.
Also, by far the most expensive RC on the market.
Yes. They went from like being kind of cheap and bad, and now they're just expensive and also cheap, and they break a lot.
Well, if you remember back in the early 2000s when we were into it last time, it was the Stampede. I mean, the Stampede is what you had. Sorry, not a Rustler. It was like the monster truck one. The Stampede, the Rustler's like the stadium truck. The Stampede, the Rustler, and then they had an on-road car that advertised 60 plus miles per hour. That was their big thing. Yeah. That was how they made En-roads into the business. They were ready to run. They were less money than a kit, and they came with everything you needed. And they got hold of all the local hobby shops. They all became Traxxas shops. They all stocked Traxxas parts. And then they just slowly kept getting more and more expensive. And, at some point they just crossed past everything else and they stayed there and they don't do anything new and everything's old. And other than the boats with the only game in town, there's no reason to buy a Traxxas. So
Yeah, so far the boat is really good, and the other boat they have that came out looks really good too.
I honestly think the new Traxxas stuff isn't bad. I think it's just it doesn't offer you anything extra for the extra money you're paying.
And I'm glad that they used to be able to buy kits, and that's what I had, and I was trying to build it, and it was going together like awful, like it wouldn't go together, and I remember returning it. But anyway, I was trying to figure out the 2 old batteries I have before I bought the 2 new ones for the cars that I have now. I bought them in 2009.
Okay.
So it's funny because they were like kind of charging kind of weird, and then I used them a couple times and just like drained them by using the car, and then charge them back up, and now they're like kind of working normal again. It's like I'm surprised that a battery from 2009 I was able to get to come back. But
well, I mean, it's
they're
literally
still
just
like
sat in your climate controlled house for 10 years. It's probably fine.
Yeah. But they definitely don't last as long as the 3000 because they're 2000, but they still, it's good enough for bashing around the yard. But yeah, it's funny. I was like, so I went down that path. I was like Googling it, and then there's like a bunch of Reddit posts about Traxxas stuff. I'm like, yeah, they weren't that good back in the day. Like, I'm not misremembering it.
The
and
Stampede still exists. You can still buy one.
It's cool that in 2024, with the internet, we have found, you and I have discovered, there are a lot of Tamiya enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
It never felt like there was, but there really is. Like, clearly, because Tamiya is still around and doing well. There are a lot of people really into them, and I like building the kits. I'm bummed actually that the Element doesn't come. They have a builder's kit, but not the one with the IFS in it. So I wanted IFS for scale because I have a Montero body coming for it because I'm insane.
No, I listen. I agree with you. I think it's a cool way to do it. We've also discovered there's plenty of people who are into building for the scale side of it versus the ultimate performance side of it. So, you go on YouTube and there's tons of people. I don't know if you watched have you seen that guy, the Scale Builders Guild? He builds tons of different scale trucks, and he's actually a very entertaining YouTuber. I like watching his videos. Yeah. He builds some really neat stuff, and they're all usually like more emphasis on it looking like a real vehicle than being a perfect performing vehicle. So I also I remember RC Car Action magazine.
Yeah.
So it's
still around.
It's still around. So I went to my local Barnes & Noble to pick one up, and they didn't have it.
No, of course not.
So
I'm surprised you even have a local Barnes & Noble.
We have like 5.
I don't even have that.
We have like 5 within 5 miles of here. So I went to the bigger one that's across, a little bit further away. They have a larger selection of periodicals, and they had it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to buy this. And magazines are expensive now, but whatever, it is what it is. It's like $8 for a magazine. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a go, and if it's good, I'll subscribe to it, right? So I remember back in the day. Now, obviously, magazines, as a general rule, are failing in the market nowadays.
Yes.
And most of them that were much larger are not large anymore. It's probably, 50 pages. It's like stapled together, not bound. But whatever, I was like, I'll give it a go. And I remember RC Car Action magazine back in the day was full of cool stuff. And they did like testing, and they had projects, and there was all kinds of cool stuff happening in it. So I start flipping through it, and I notice a very disturbing thing. Every single article is just an ad for a new RC car from somebody.
Oh, weird.
To the point where there's a story about it, but the photos are provided by the manufacturer. It's like here's a Traxxas, photos provided by Traxxas. Here's a Tamiya, photos provided by Tamiya. Here's a whatever, a Losi, photos provided by Losi. And it's like, did you even? And then as I'm reading the text, I'm realizing they don't have any experience with this vehicle. They're just regurgitating the stats you could see on the manufacturer's website. And through the entire magazine, every article is the same. At the very end of the magazine, the last article is got photos by the magazine staff and the article talks about the driving experience of the truck. But I was like, well, that's clearly not, they're not getting my money anymore. They deserve to go away. Like, I'm not paying $9 a month for ads and nothing else. Ads hidden as articles. It was absolutely terrible. I was super, super upset. So
weird, because I was looking at it online and I was like, oh, this looks pretty good, because you can, maybe it's the online, maybe they give you like this exclusive content.
Well, they shouldn't.
Telling me,
if anything, they should give exclusive content to the book. So
I don't know.
Anyway,
interesting.
Next time I come to Massachusetts, I'll bring it with me, and you can have it, because it's. I'll show you what I mean. It's pretty terrible. Or just go flip through it in the store, because it's. You say you don't have a Barnes & Noble anymore, so maybe never mind.
Well, yes, it's still there. I think I've been over there. I'm thinking of the Borders, that is now a self-storage.
Borders has been gone for a decade, though.
So this is right. It's $59. Members only newsletter, exclusive weekly content, plus read the latest stories first, print and digital magazine subscription, plus the archives.
Archives would be cool, but also the one magazine I read, I was very disappointed, and I said, well, I guess I won't read any more of these. I'll just stick to the internet content. So
yeah, maybe it's just on the, I don't know. It's a bummer.
Yep, I was bummed.
Well,
so anyway,
anything else?
I don't think so, Andrew. I just noticed that we're doing our test here with this new program here, and it doesn't have a counter.
I've got a timer going.
Interesting.
It doesn't show it for you? All right.
Nope.
Good
no
to
timer.
know. Yeah, we're at 51 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, we're kind of there's not really any motorsport going on between seasons. So upcoming Daytona will be next. Daytona 24 hours.
If we were Formula One nerds, we could still talk about that, but we're not. So
no, because it's boring.
I didn't even watch the Vegas race this year.
No, because it's too late.
I certainly wasn't going to watch it live. And I'm 2 hours behind you.
Yeah. I don't know. Considering the Long Beach Grand Prix. So
yep, we talked about that.
Let's we'll let people know if we're gonna go. I think we are, but people can meet us there. Again, that's the easiest way.
This weekend, if you're in the Phoenix area, Saturday is the Eurosport Cars and Coffee. I'll be there in the Mercor. If you're in the market for a Mercor, I will gladly show it to you, because it's officially going. That'll be its first advertised for sale spot this weekend. And then Sunday, if you're in the Arizona area, is FCP Euro or FCP Euro has their Mesa warehouse, and they're doing a Cars and Coffee there with a Porsche Mercedes feature, a Stuttgart feature.
There you go.
So I'm going to go there as well, but it's open to any car. So, and don't be tricked. If you go to their website, it says buy tickets. It's not actually required to buy tickets. They're trying to get a car count. And if you go to the website to buy tickets, it's free. So I was like, I'm not going to that then. And then I learned that it was actually free. And I was like, all right, they want to have a base idea of how many cars are coming. That's okay. I'll let it slide.
Oh, speaking of Black Friday sales, Lime Rock was doing Black Friday sale. I've got my tickets to the truck race there. That's in June. It's like June 28th, I think, Saturday. So I will be there. If anybody else wants to go see a NASCAR truck race at Lime Rock, come hang out with me.
I would love to go, but it's the wrong side of the country.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to try to come out there for. We'll talk about it actually, because I don't know if anybody else is going. They are doing that rally in Maine this year.
Oh yeah, yep. They announced that, and what else? They already announced Grid Life is coming back to Lime Rock too.
That's what I should come out for.
So, yeah, that's in August. So that I am definitely going to, and I think they're even announcing pre-sale on tickets, like the cheapest ticket price. So kind of crazy that they announced it so early.
Yeah,
so they're confident that they're doing it.
It's only December 5th.
Yeah,
but that's cool. But, I'm into that.
All right, as always. Follow this podcast on Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Instagram, Threads. I am Racing Anger on Instagram and Threads. I've been trying Blue Sky. I'm over there if you want to come hang out. But
I'm throwing a hard no. I'm throwing a hard no on that right now. I'm not.
That's fine.
Not joining another social media site.
Should come hang out in a Discord. The Discord's fine.
Discord is fine. I'm in the Discord. Yes, obviously. They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350, also on Threads. And they could find us not putting any content up on Scale Autocast on Instagram, which actually it's wintertime. Andrew, you should be posting up for tons of stuff there. So Scale Project Car Time.
I did something the other day. I was using the RC cars in the snow.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, I'm not posting up there. Never mind. So go over there too.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm also not paying attention there either. Oh, also, if you haven't already, go read Bradley's article about the Arizona Rising Sun Rally on Jalopnik.
Of course. Yes.
So
yeah, we reposted that to all of our stuff, I think. But
yep,
it's on Jalopnik. Go find it.
Yep, just search Bradley Brownell and see all his articles, and then obviously read all his articles because we like Brad. But specifically the one about the Arizona Rising Sun Rally. So super proud to have that coverage on like a big car blog. That's cool. So thanks, Brad.
Sure is. All right. As always, keep yours analog and aim for the roses.